Okay, so today we're going to do 15-minute Eggs Benedict. It's simple and easy, contrary to what you've been told all your life. So the first thing we're going to do is get the water started for the eggs. So I did put a goodly amount of water in there, and we're just going to turn that on high, put a little bit of vinegar in it. I usually go for a capful. If your eggs are a little bit older, you might want to do 2 capfuls. This is what's going to take the longest during this process. So we're going to put a lid on that to make it boil. The second thing we're going to do is do the asparagus that we're cooking to go with it. So for asparagus, I just break the ends off. And this is really thick asparagus, so we're going to want to cook it a little bit longer, which is why we're starting it now. And so we'll put just a little bit of oil in there. I use my grapeseed. Do some salt, pepper, and if we were not serving this with hollandaise, I would also use garlic and rosemary. But we're not for today, so once again, we're going to turn that on high and put a lid on it. Now, to get to the hollandaise, the fun part, as many people would consider it not so fun. So the first thing we want to do is cut up this butter. Just 1 stick is all it takes. And we're going to throw it in the pan. If you want to be a little bit slower about this process, you can always freeze the butter in advance. But this is just a really easy one-pan thing. Quick note, do not use European butter with this method. It doesn't turn out quite right. And then we're going to do 3 egg yolks. Now there are 2 different methods for separating eggs. The one I was raised with, just move those, is to just go ahead and if the eggshells will cooperate. Okay, we're going to the second one for this. You just go ahead and just pour the egg into your hand. And that gets you the yolk. Now I will say that the eggs I'm using to get the yolks are a little bit older than the ones I'm using for the poached eggs because you want younger, firmer eggs. And here's the second method, and this is the one I was raised with, where you just bounce it between the shell to get the white to go away. And just for people that are not familiar with this, the yolk is the yellow, the white is the clear. Okay. Let me rinse my hands really quick. Because no, ladies and gentlemen, we are not done getting messy. So, we're going to set this aside because it's not relevant now. And then we just need to do lemon. Now, we like ours really lemony, so we either use the juice of 1 big lemon or 2 small lemons. If you do not like it as lemony, then just use less lemon. It's all good. I think we'll call that good for right now. I think more lemon than that might be too much. So, one other prep item is cutting the English muffins in half. Now for the English muffins, I'm just going to put them in the toaster with the soft part out. So basically inside out if you were sewing or doing socks. And the one last item we're going to prep so that we just have to deal with it is Canadian bacon, because Eggs Benedict is traditionally made with Canadian bacon, which is bacon made from the pork loin instead of the belly, like American bacon. Now, traditionally this is done with 1 slice per. Sometimes I'll use 2. But another note is you can also use ham, you can use regular bacon. It would still be considered Eggs Benedict at that point, I think. But the purist will say no. Oh, and there is a lemon seed. Let's get that out of there. So we're going to put this on low. We still have to add 2 more ingredients. Just a little bit of salt. And then a touch of cayenne pepper. You just want a little bit of heat, not too much. Now as we start this, so the asparagus is starting to cook. Get that to move a little bit. But let's not leave this alone. Now, with hollandaise, the 2 things that can go wrong with it are if you do not stir it, you can get lemony scrambled eggs, which that would be really easy to identify. And you'll know in a heartbeat that that's what's happened. The other thing that frequently happens, especially if you leave it over a heat while it's sitting, is it'll break. And all that means is that the butter fat separates from the sauce. Now, contrary to popular belief, you can fix it once it's broken. And that just means putting the pan into a bowl of cold running water and stirring it while it reincorporates and cools down. It takes a little bit of time, but if you don't have the ingredients to do it again, that is a fix. Okay. So I'm looking at this asparagus. I have thick bottom pans that will hold the heat. So we're actually just going to turn it to low and then make sure to stopping and stirring the hollandaise. Now what we're looking for on the hollandaise is a couple things. We're looking for the butter to all melt, and this is where if you're a little bit scared of it, use frozen butter. For me, I always like to use a slightly larger pan. My sister will use a smaller pan than I will, but I find that it gets messy. And since we're doing it on low, we're not going to turn off the heat just when the butter melts. We're going to wait till it starts thickening just a little bit. But that's going to be a great indicator as to when we need to be very attentive. Now I'm still seeing smoke on this asparagus, so I think we're just going to turn that off. Now at the end, there's going to be a lot of things that happen all at once. We're going to put the toast down. We're going to start the heat on the English muffins, and we're going to throw in the eggs to be poached. So this is starting to get just a little bit thick. You're just starting to get that. So as I said, I have really thick bottom pans. So we're going to turn off the heat and we're going to keep stirring this. The big thing we are waiting on right now is for the water to boil. But we also want to make sure that we do not break our hollandaise or worse yet scramble it, which usually is not an issue at this point because the eggs are cooked, but if you take it too hot, they will still scramble. So for now, I'm actually going to move this to a cold countertop. And you could put it on trivets as well, but this is to try to take some of the heat out of the sauce to make sure that it doesn't break. So the water has just come to a boil. So at this point, we're going to turn on the bacon and put the English muffins down to toast. Now the one thing that I failed to do up to this point was to break all the eggs. Now you want really fresh eggs when you're going to poach them, because the fresher the eggs, the thicker the whites. And so that helps them stay together. And you want them all timed out about the same. But if you have good, thick, fresh eggs, you're not going to have to worry about them clumping all together. We are very blessed to have a good source of farm fresh eggs. So, we're going to turn off this heat here and then just pour these in. And if you do it, you'll get one at a time. If you're really nervous about it, you can always put it into like little shot glasses or something. And then we're going to cover it and set the timer for 3 minutes. And to me, that is always the standard for the beginning of when your eggs are going to be done. Now the Canadian bacon is just starting to warm up. We love that. And I'm going to rinse my hands again. So as you can see, this is not broken. It is absolutely beautiful and thick and creamy, kind of about the texture of sour cream. So that is going to be what you want it to look like. So this is going to be easy to assemble. When I'm doing 2 eggs Benedict per, I like to just go ahead and divide up the asparagus. And you can see how this still has that gorgeous bright green color. It doesn't have that kind of olive drab color that it gets a lot of the time. We're going to kill the temperature on this. And we're just waiting on the toaster. There we go. Yeah, I know. We won't tell anyone. So we just put the Canadian bacon on the English muffin. And now we're just waiting on the timer on the eggs. We're still a couple seconds out. So what we're looking for on the eggs is we want the white to be firm and the yolk, or the yellow as some people call it, to be jiggly. So it's like if you look at this, this is done. That white is firm, but that yolk is beautiful and jiggly. And yes, that is a highly technical term. Now this one, the white is just not quite there yet. That is beautiful. And see, once again, the white's firm. The yolk just has a little bit of jiggle to it. And here's that one that we checked before that just wasn't quite there. Okay, so that's now done, and it is time for the hollandaise. And then, because we have the asparagus, we're just putting a little bit of extra hollandaise in the middle to eat with our asparagus, which we both love. See how beautiful and runny that yolk is? And it just spreads. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what Eggs Benedict is all about.